Let's get into this game. The Cowboys take on the Atlanta Falcons this Sunday afternoon. It's a noon kickoff. And I'm so thankful that it's a noon kickoff because I hate night games. I hate waiting all day. I hate doing my pregame show at 6 o'clock. I hate doing my postgame show at 11 o'clock. I hate getting home at 1:30 in the morning, having to get right back up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to get my day started again. Hate it. Don't like it. Didn't like it as a player. Don't like it as a guy who covers it. Do not like it. So happy it's a noon game. I can get up. I can get a good breakfast in. I can get over to where I got to get to. Catch me at Canvas on Sundays doing the pre-halftime and post-game show. I can get the game watched, get the game over, and I'm back to the crib. Nobody loves being home more than me. Nobody. I love me some home. You hear me? I love me some home. I don't want to be anywhere else. 12 noon game. Little interesting side note, and I know that a lot of you, this literally just came across my feed like 10 minutes ago. The Cowboys game will be on Fox. As you know, the Cowboys this year on Fox has been covered by one who? Tom Brady. And the A-team. Not this game. This game you get the B team. I think you get what's tight end's name? Greg Olsen. You get Greg Olsen. Y'all want to get Jerry's attention? Him not getting the A team on Fox, that will get Jerry's attention. That'll get Jerry to kind of go perk up a little bit and go. So more Jerry getting the B team and not getting the A squad and not getting the A block and all that kind of stuff. Those are the things that get Jerry's attention. All right. Let's jump into this thing, man. The Cowboys playing the Falcons. Interesting game. Really interesting game because when I watched the Falcons defense first. That was the first thing that I watched and kind of broke down. I was just like, okay, 3-4 defense. They don't have anything special. They have Matthew Judon, who was a good pass rusher when he was in New England with the Patriots. No juice. No juice. I'm watching them. No juice, no real threat, no real effort. Now, I caution myself when I say that because I know what I watch on film. I trust my eyes and the things that I see on film. But I also know, as someone who used to play in this league and play sports my entire life, I did know even if I wasn't playing well or I wasn't doing my normal 1-2 step, but when I seen that team that we were playing had an opportunity to dominate a guy, I get a little pep in my step. My energy gets there a little bit. I take a little longer in my stretch. I make sure that I'm ready to go this week because this might be the thing. You guys didn't know who Adrian Claiborne was. Remember that guy? You guys didn't know who he was. He wasn't a guy that was tearing the league up. He wasn't a guy who was a fierce and feared and dominating pass rusher. No, he wasn't. Most of you did not know him. Most of you did not know leading up to that point when the Cowboys played Atlanta that year that he only had 8 career sacks. A lot of you didn't know that. Oh, but they saw a mouse in the house and Chaz Green, 6 sacks later. I think Adrian Claiborne finished that year with 8 sacks total. Ended up going to the Pro Bowl, literally off the Cowboys because of this sack total. So I find it hard to believe that I look over, I'm watching film, and if I'm Matthew Judon and I look over and I go, boy, look at that Terrence Steele. Start licking your lips. You start thinking about barbecue chicken. So I watch film and I'm like, man, Matthew Judon don't got no more juice, man. Don't look like he's really giving full. It looks like he's giving full effort. Like they don't have anybody up front that is truly someone to fear. This may be the first week where the Cowboys are getting a little bit of a break. Literally every single week. It was Myles Garrett one week. And then it was, a good defense in New Orleans the next week. And then it was TJ Watt. And then it was Sexy Dexy and Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns, and then it was the Watts, and then it was Bosa, and it was a host of fear pass rushers. They don't have that. But I just, in the back of my mind, it just won't leave me thinking, is the Cowboy offensive line medicine? Are they the CVS, the Walgreens to a team's bad? The Atlanta Falcons, their defensive front has 6 sacks total on the year. Six. And that's the only thing that worries me, is that do they look at the Cowboys offensive line and say, hey fellas, let's go hunting. We can go out there and really we can have a day. We can have a day against this offensive line. And so when I saw them defensively, I thought, man, there's plays to be made out there. And then I said, boy, watching the other running backs run and having cutback lanes and getting, plus yardage and getting big gains and, going back and forth. And I thought to myself, boy, man, there are some plays to be made in the run game on this team. Look at the vision. Oh, look at the cutback. Look at Bucky Irvin. Look at Kenneth Walker and all these other guys. And then I literally paused it. I paused the iPad and I thought, am I fooling myself? Am I fooling myself? Am I allowing myself to see something in this film from other teams and these other backs, and then fooling myself into believing that the backs that the Cowboys currently have on their roster are able to do this? Am I fooling myself into believing that the vision and the cutback and the burst that I've seen these other backs do and have success versus Atlanta defense, am I fooling myself into believing that it could happen for the Cowboys backs? And I really just sat there for a second like, the Cowboys have been over 20 games since they've had a 100-yard rusher. There's only been 2 games this year that a back in the Cowboys backfield, in the stable of the Cowboys backs that they have, has rushed more than 10 times. Only 2 times that they had more than 10 rushes in 2 games. The Cowboys are averaging like 70, 76, 75 yards a game. I was like, man, I'm fooling myself. I'm fooling myself into believing that the plays that I see that could be made on this Atlanta defense, the Cowboys have the ability, facilities, backs that are be able to do it. And I went back watching film, and I thought to myself over and over and over and over again, boy, I wish we had a back that was able to resemble some of this. Now, I don't know truly what Dalvin Cook may have left. And I don't know if we'll even get a chance to truly see it, because unless Rico has a 3-hour bug again, he's probably going to be your starting back. And that means either Zeke and or Cook will be the running back, but Mike McCarthy, he's been coming out and saying these different things and saying that Rico is the lead back, which I believe if he's going to be the lead back, leave him in there. Leave him in there till he needs a blow. And then you can pick about who you want to go in there. But if Rico's your guy, let Rico get in there, get the rhythm, find yourself in there. Maybe if you give a back an opportunity to rush the ball more than 10 times, you'll be able to have some success in the running game. But offensively for this Cowboys team, I got to be honest with you guys. I really do have to be honest with you. I have soured on Michael McCarthy from Pittsburgh, and the way that he calls plays. And this is how I know that this team is imploding and that this team is cooked. Because I want to read you something that I thought was just telling about where we are in the state of football in the year our Lord and Savior 2024. And this is a quote from Mike McCarthy on Dak Prescott. Now, I just want you to listen to some of the things that he is saying, and it's going to spell out for you why this football team is in the shape that it is in from a schematic point. Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy on Dak Prescott. Number one, this system is built on making quarterbacks successful. That's the way I learned it 30 plus years ago. I'm going to read that again. Number one, the system is built on making quarterbacks successful. That's the way I learned it 30 plus years ago. So everything we do is built into that. Obviously, the starting point of making a quarterback successful is running the football. I'll read it again. Obviously, the starting point of making a quarterback successful is running the football. We can start right there. McCarthy goes on and says, we need to get more production out of the run game, increase the action pass opportunities, means play action pass, and then from that, take it to the next step, and that's the pass protection. And obviously, the pass perimeter. It's about making him successful. If anything, I would guard against asking him to feel like he has to do more than he's already doing. He just needs to really focus on playing quarterback. He is a great worker, super diligent, and we'll get to where we need to get to. There's several things in that comment from Michael from Pittsburgh that he makes. What and how I learned this offense 30 years ago. This is 2024, Mike. That offense that was that West Coast offense from 30 years ago, if that thing hasn't evolved, if you ain't take that thing to you know what he done? Here's what Michael from Pittsburgh has done. If you guys are of my age, then you will remember this. There used to be a show back in the day, right? The show was called it was hosted by Exhibit, and it was called Pimp My Ride. Y'all remember that show? Pimp My Ride? Exhibit would go around mainly on the West Coast, and they would find these people who had these broke down looking, barely running cars. And what they would do is they would get these cars, they would see the interest and likes of these people. They would take them to this body shop, and they would pimp this ride out in some of the most craziest ways possible, putting fish tanks in it and TVs in it and all this other nonsense. What I never seen them do in Pimp My Ride. Yeah, they'd change the paint color on it, and maybe fix some dents and some scratches, and they'd put some good interior in there and all that kind of stuff. What I never, ever, ever, ever saw in Pimp My Ride was them actually go in and fix the one thing that makes the car run. I never seen them go on and adjust and give it a tune-up, replace an engine, spark plugs, belts, radiators, fans, motors, none of that. And I think what Michael from Pittsburgh has done from this 30-year-old archaic offense is he's trying at some ways to go pimp my ride, to take that old thing and put some rims on it and make it look like it has changed, when in reality, the engine is still bad. So you can dress it up however it is you want to dress it up. It's old, it's archaic, it's not functioning in today's football. Your granddaddy's offense ain't working in your great-grandson's NFL. And I think that is the biggest thing we talk about, Mike. Then you go and you talk about the run game. They talked about it all offseason long. We're going to be a running back by committee. We're good enough to be running back by committee. We're good enough to be running back committee. We got a stable of backs. Till the other day you go, I don't know if running back by committee is the ideal thing. Wait a minute. You built your foundation on what you were doing offensively by running back by committee. That's what you told us. That's what you were practicing. That's what you were putting into form all offseason. And now you're telling us it may not be. And I get it. Football's fluid. Things change. But you had to know that running back by committee, when the running backs that you have in this here committee aren't good enough to do it, Michael. Let's be honest. And this is nothing against the person of Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle is not a starting running back in the National Football League. He is a National Football League player. He's not a starter. I highly doubt that Rico would start for any other football team in this league. Would he play? Sure. He can be a backup, can be a third stringer, can return some kicks, play special teams. You made him a starter. And then you turned around and you said, okay, behind this starter, we're going to get a guy who has no more left in the tank in Ezekiel Elliott. You didn't even give yourself an opportunity to get somebody with a little bit younger and fresher legs that may be able to give you a little juice. Then you doubled down on that and said, I'm going to go get another. Do you know why you were able to get Dalvin Cook at the stage in which you got Dalvin Cook? Michael, nobody else wanted him. He was at home on the couch. And you brought him in and thought what? That this was going to be the reason and how you took this running back by committee and grew? That's not how this league works. You've been around long enough to know that, Michael. Michael from Pittsburgh. And then you proceed to go on and talk about, then we have to look at, the pass protection and in the run blocking and so on and so forth. You knew what Terrence Steele was. You understood that Zach Martin was declining and started talking about retirement. Tyron Smith left and went to the Jets. You took a project in the first round. You didn't take a surefire thing in the first round. You took a project. You took a guy who had 14 career starts in college. Oh, and I'm going to get into the developmental thing when it comes to the National Football League. That's coming later on. You took a guy who had 14 career starts in college. And then you put him at who not only didn't have enough starts, even in the 14 starts that he had, there were flaws in his technique, major flaws in his technique. Is he big? Is he athletic? Does he have some traits? Absolutely. But you took a guy who had major flaws and you were going to put him in a position in the National Football League that is the hardest position to play on the offensive line. And you thought, baptism by fire will work out for him. And many of you, whether you want to admit it or not, you all thought to yourselves, well, the more reps he gets, the better he has to become. Au contraire, mon ami. That's not true. There's a guy that's on the other side of the line who you've given so many reps and all he's done is regress. His name's Mozzie Smith. You have an example of what that looks like. Yet, here we are. And then Michael from Pittsburgh goes on and on and on and on and on, and he talks about we're going to get this together. And why I find that very hard to believe, because my next statement is going to be the one where I transition out of the offense, because it is what it is. You have Dak Prescott, who's having not one of his best years. You have CeeDee Lamb, and you have a bunch of others. Your tight end, you can't truly get involved. Your second receiver, you just can't truly. And he's not having a bad year, but he's not a guy. He hasn't. No one fears him. And most teams on the perimeter are built of at least a dominant number one, a supreme number one, and a really good, really good number two that they actually have to think about or worry about. And hopefully you can add a tight end to the mix. No one fears any of those guys on your football team. And they said it publicly. Ask Detroit. They said, stop 88, and we don't give a damn about the rest of those dudes. And this is what y'all put together. But riddle me this. Most of you, if not all of you, will probably say, because I would say it, I would say yes, the answer is yes. But if I ask you the question, are most NFL games won and or lost in the trenches? You, if you're a real football fan and you understand the game of football, your answer probably should be, no, not probably, your answer should be yes. Football games are won and or lost in the trenches. Yes, like if you're watching this, yes, right? Like you can, here's where you nod your head. Yeah, Jess, you're right. Football games are won and lost in the trenches. That's right. With the big uglies, the hogs, the road graders, all those guys on the offense and defensive line. Yes? Yes. Nod your head. There you go. There you go. Yes. Well, if what you're saying is yes, I'm saying it's yes and it's true. If the Cowboys have the 32nd ranked defensive line and the 28th ranked offensive line, how can we realistically go into games where teams are as good or better than them and think to ourselves that they're going to win the football game? Because if what you're saying is true and what I'm saying is true, that games are won and lost in the trenches, and their trenches are the worst in football. How are we coming to the conclusion? How are we developing this synopsis that the Cowboys have the ability to win football games? You can't stop anybody from moving you, and you can't move anybody. You don't get pressure on the quarterback. You can't stop anyone from getting pressure on your quarterback. You can't stop anybody from running the football on you, and you can't run the football on anybody. How? Make it make sense to your boy, Jay Holley. How are we realistically coming into games like this one against Atlanta and saying, but our team can win? Either our math ain't mathing or we're delusional liars. It's harsh. I get it. I understand. And is injury a factor? Sure. I'll give you that. But I'll also say that there were points in time in the game, in the season, where you had all those guys. You were missing Bland, but you had the rest of the guys. And we saw what New Orleans did to you. We saw what Baltimore did to you. And you had Diggs and Tank and Micah and all the rest of the guys. The one guy you didn't have was DaRon Bland, but DaRon Bland wasn't to stop them from bullying you. DaRon Bland's absence isn't the reason that you got bullied, you got beat up, you got dominated. And it just continue on when the teams that are equal to are better than you. You have no answer for them. And then that takes me to this defense. When you look at going up against Atlanta, it's going to be you're going to have a day. You're going to have a day. Not a good day either. While they don't have the greatest offensive line, Bijan going to give you a headache. Bijan is going to give you a headache. And I called Kirk Cousins, and I know no one ever said this, but it's just always funny for me to say. I always laugh when I hear it. They said that, no one said it. It was a thing that was a rumor that was false and it was fake, but it makes me laugh when the rumor went out and they said that Kirk Cousins is the black Dak Prescott and Dak Prescott is the white Kirk Cousins. It's always funny to me. It's never not going to be funny to me. No one never said it. It was made up. It was a lie. It was a fairy tale that was put out there, but it is funny to me. But the white Dak Prescott is cooking down in Atlanta. And I call him a prophet. No, not the prophet. I call him a prophet taker. Not the prophet like, holier than thou prophet. No, prophet like in money, like in winnings. And I call him a prophet taker because when you watch this team offensively, he's an equal opportunist. He'll throw it to the back. He'll throw it to the tight end. He'll throw it to Mooney. He'll throw it to London. He'll throw it to any guy that is open. He'll throw it to him right now. And offensively, Atlanta makes you defend 53 1/3. That's from sideline to sideline, every blade of grass. And then they'll just nickel and dime you all the way down the field. Then they'll run the football. Then they'll profit in front, profit on side, profit in the flats. And then once you get tired of them getting profit and you think you just gonna run up and stop them, bang, over the top. And they have the weapons. And unfortunately, everything that they really good at is where you actually suffer. This is one of those matchups, Mooney, the receiver from Atlanta, his prototype, quick, shifty, can run good routes, is explosive. Those are the guys that give Trayvon Diggs a little bit of trouble. Not a little bit of trouble, they give him trouble. The shifty guys, the guys who get in and out of their breaks, who can make sudden movements, who can turn on a burst, stop, turn on a burst again. Those are the guys that give Trayvon Diggs trouble. Kyle Pitts, who remember 2 years ago, Kyle Pitts was borderline bust. He was flirting with getting packed up in that bus package. You bring in a new head coach who brings in a new offensive coordinator, which, by the way, find me the offense coordinator name. I'm drawing a blank. The offense coordinator name. He is a Sean McVay disciple. He's from that tree. Zach Robinson. You'll hear that name this offseason when it comes to the coaching hiring carousel. You'll hear that name. He's from the McVay tree. That McVay, that Shanahan tree, those are the trees that give you a lot of action and a lot of motion, pre-snap, post-snap, at the snap. They give you a lot of motion. Those things give the Cowboys defense hell. And if Raheem Morris, the head coach, if he's worth his weight in salt, he sat down and he watched film last week. And he said, the 49ers found a way to get George Kittle lined up on this number 6 kid. I need to find a way to take the bigger, stronger, faster, maybe even more athletic Kyle Pitts and get him lined up on this number 6 kid. And so him and Zach, they probably sat there and was like, this is where we got to go. And for whatever reason, Michael Zimmer from Illinois won't change out those safeties and give maybe an opportunity to Wanye Thomas or to Marquise Bell. Give them a shot at trying to cover down, because the guy that you got in there, he ain't doing it. But I get it. Jerry does not want to see his millions sitting on the sideline. If I was a businessman, I'd be the same way. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what about Deron Bland? Heard he's active. Well, don't count on Deron Bland playing this week. Deron Bland had to be activated because when you're on IR, they open up a 21-day window for you to return from IR. Either you return from IR or you go back on IR for the rest of the year with no return. Pack your season up. It's done. So when they had Deron Bland come off IR and opened up his 21-day window to return, I think, no one has said it yet, but I think there was a major setback in his foot that did not get him right. And then the 21-day window was ending, so they had to activate him. So don't confuse him being activated as he is going to play. I don't think you're going to see Deron Bland this week. You probably won't see Deron Bland next week either. You're also probably not going to see Micah Parsons. He was in the rehab group yesterday. And Michael from Pittsburgh said that he has to see a significant amount of progress on Saturday to get Micah Parsons to play. And even if Micah plays, being that he had an ankle injury, that means he wasn't doing much conditioning. I don't know where he's going to be at right now. Hadn't practiced, right? Been out 4 weeks or something like that. I don't know where he's at conditioning wise. So even if he plays, I don't know where he's at conditioning wise. And I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm Micah Parsons, if Jesse Holley was Micah Parsons, I personally would not come back until I was 100%. Because you are in a contract year, Micah. This is the contract year for you. And while you may not have the numbers that you want, the last thing that you want is to come back sooner than you're supposed to come back, re-injure the ankle, or compensate for the ankle and injure another body part more tragically or significantly. That could really set back what happens to you in your contract in the offseason. So if I'm Micah Parsons, there's no way in the world I'm rushing back to the playing field until I am absolutely 1,000% healthy enough to go. So not having them this weekend, you take the one guy on your roster, the one human being on your roster that is able to create some sort of pressure on the quarterback just off talent alone. There's not another person that you have on this current roster right now. Maybe Demarion Overshown, but I think he's still a little bit, young. Side note, by the way, if I'm Michael Zimmerman from Illinois, I may take a page out of Dan Quinn from Jersey's book and go, let me see what this number 13 kid can be as a pass rusher. Because I need to form a pass rush. Quarterbacks don't fear you pass rushing them. So they sit back in the pocket all day. Kirk Cousins, when he when he gets pressure, like most other quarterbacks, are bad quarterbacks. But when he stands in the pocket, not only does he become a profit taker, he becomes a damn good profit taker. And if you don't want him throwing for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, then damn it, you better manufacture some pressure, and you better manufacture some pressure often. It is going to be a very, 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 very difficult task for the Cowboys defense to stop this offense. And we haven't even gotten into Bijan Robinson running the ball. And when you look at this Cowboys defensive line, they've given up rushing totals of 190 yards, 274 yards, 184 yards, 236 yards. If you think this team ain't trying to run the football on you, you a fool. No. Take that back. You a damn fool. You a damn fool if you think they ain't going to try to run that ball on you. And Bijan is one of these new age backs where he is fast, he is big, he has vision, he has contact balance, catches out of the backfield. I mean, he can do it all. And if you don't come ready to practice, ready to play, and ready to tackle, they're going to embarrass you. They are going to embarrass you. I don't know. I don't know how I can find a way for the Cowboys to win this football game. I tried, but the more I try and think about it, I also have to be realistic with myself and go, they just don't have the Jimmies and Joes. This team doesn't have good football players. And because of that, they suffer on Sundays. And this will be another Sunday where another team gets off on the Cowboys. I got the Cowboys losing this game 34-19. 34-19. They got the over at 52. I got them 34-19. Yeah. 34-19. That's where I have it.